a spread of poems from a book-length project that has just mugged me. I've written 84 poems in 2 months. I don't know what I'm doing. You're going to find out tonight. I thought it would be a way of honoring this amazing event. The book is called ETC, and it has some epigraphs, one from Shakespeare. And shalt be what thou art promised, yet I do fear thy nature. It is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. And one from Monica McClure. Even sacred cows find their butchers inside a triangle of surveillance. And one from me, which is, because Scream has cream in it. The imaginary begins in the real, or the consensually recognized but flees for reasons we may or may not know, to be exiled, nomad, cosmopolitan, refugee, not expat exactly, not that timid and judgmental, estranged, yes, but desperately. The imaginary emerges as sacred, homeless, caught at the edge of the country it used to call home, and the country which might bear the name of home for a while, or might be an intermediary stop. I see you, the imagination says. I see you seeing me, stepping into the lack of fatherland. I see you, tenderly, remorselessly. Country song. How could I have been so wrong as to write about you? The imaginary begins again. Always remember, the muses say, the living versions of Elsie, the ones who appeared at World's Fairs and elsewhere, were chosen because they looked like the logo and could stand in for that invention in the real world. That is, the world that is an exhibition space. The actual cows, in other words, in those serial semblances and substitutes, were installed to substantiate the claims of the two-dimensional caricature smirking back from the flat surfaces of trucks and cartons, etc., not vice versa. Oops, it didn't start. Okay, why not? It should be starting. Oh, yes, we'll try that again. Here's hoping. Is it moving or not moving? Okay, well, we'll find out. Mistress of the West. Stubborn residue of the Egyptian goddess Hathor and the golden calf, well mixed with a host of other Kamo deities. Elsie the Sea, 1936, is the bright face and beloved mascot for an unnamed dairy company. She burst forth from the gathering clouds as a way of keeping an embodied origin, and with it a myth of purity, in place at the start of the heavy-duty industrialization of America's food supply. She is still used to sell us things we like to eat. What else do you need? She was married early, and the image of her husband's horned head adorns the plastic bottles of an oft-used adhesive produced by the chemical division of that same unnamed company. Blessed be his name and the names of their offspring. Elsie has many degrees, including Doctor of Bovinity, Human Kindness, and Economics, and she's Queen of Dairyland, as well as an honorary chief of the Seneca people, who were not, in fact, the first suffragettes, as you might be thinking. In 1952, she was more easily recognized than many celebrities, including a presidential candidate. Her father art in the land of the dead, in those realms reserved for advertising. Copyright law. No, I'm going to read the small one. This is a picture of me fleeing, pursued by the legal team, I would say apparatus, of the airy industry. Among the fields of yellow flowers, her lawyers hunt me, following the sound of my voice. Is it true you make glue also, I sing? Is it true you want to stick it to me? Copyright law. protects Elsie from being copied, right? I mean CC'd here, for instance. These are poems, after all. This is poetry. Poetry! A little too public to be private, but way too private to be public. I can't even read this. Speak, muses, if you love me, of the Copyright Act of 1976. Anyone may copy the ideas within a work. No, 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 no. Tell us in your own words everything we might need to know about the originality requirement. Breathless hush. But really, Elsie interrupts, really, there's no one, is there, like me? Not exactly. She laughs mechanically. She's just beside herself, under those perfectly iterated, amputated, but bloodless heads, strumming her lyre. The poet continues, almost any work that is created will meet, I quote, the originality requirement. This is a poem called The Milk of Human Kindness. Elsie is a sacred being. Like all of us? Not quite. When she appears in a halo of yellow flowers, it is as both the representation of the industry and a vision of an endlessly cheap source of labor, the natural process of the body as machine at work. She is at the same time a guarantee of freshness and the proof of an almost uncanny powers of plastic packaging. What does it mean to be fresh as a daisy? Really? Watch this advertisement for a douche. Femininity is itself a great embarrassment. The C here stands for citation. Elsie evokes and elides our disgust through the trope of her naturalness, wearing nothing but an apron and those big false eyelashes. In the space that opens between the barn and the market, we come into existence, useless, except insofar as we are the imagined audience, consumers, for this, her greatest and most important manifestation on our earth. She died for our sins, someone says earnestly, trying to hand me a pamphlet. No, I say, no, I think that was someone else. Stop writing about me like this, Elsie says primly. You need to be sympathetic. Poems are for deepening our emotional capabilities. Yours are not impressive, by the by, seeming to be slightly less capacious than your bra size. Poetry is meant to lead you to love, she huffs, as if it were a drug, like morphine, which memorably once allowed me to feel the whole world was my friend. Briefly. Let me think about that and get back to you, Elsie thinks. And if I were writing correctly, I'd be married by now, or at least have better selfies. And I think a literature meant to help its author be interpolated into the larger marketing strategy is bound to be a very limited field of activity, right? But Elsie, who hates to be lectured to, as she puts it, is already turning away. Let me think, she says, about that and get back to you. She won't. She fixes her lipstick, adjusts her statement necklace of yellow daisies. I think it's a choker, really. And fluffs her horns. Please, I hear her humming as she prances off. Please, please me, like I. Every celebration seems to involve white people. Skin as white as, hush, hush, don't say it. Inside I'm crying. Elsie wants to play a game. What color is snow? What color is salt? What do cows drink? Ha ha ha, no you don't. Lactorium. And your heartlessness and your longing for lies are like milk to me. And your self-harm and your scapegoating are like milk to me. Like your rage and your unwillingness to pay taxes, your desire to buy cheap things, these are like milk. And your dirty wars and your drones are like milk to me because the words collateral damage and byproduct are so white. And your anxiety and your depression and your plastic and your failure to recognize the guilty above a certain level of influence are all so thick and creamy. And your tolerance for violent injustice, I drink this thickness. And your active shooter is like white milk to me, and your racism is a kind of milk, and the killing of children is like milk to me. The body left on the street is like milk, and your sexism is like milk to me. Your rape culture and your protection of the abuser who is white and male is exactly like milk to me, and your adoration of the richest and most powerful is like milk to me, and the years when you fail to work on a cure for the disease because you despise the afflicted, those long decades are like milk to me, and your guns are like milk to me, your precious guns, more precious than anything, and the blood of the dead is like mother's milk to me, this spilling whiteness, the names of the dead, and the grieving I go on swallowing, and your protection of corporate interests and banks is like milk to me, and your privatized, racist prison system is like milk to me, and your inadequate healthcare system is like milk to me, and your underfunded educational system failing, that's just like milk to me, and the pale word addicted erases everything, and justice has a white bandage poured over her gouged out eyes, and the word undocumented is full of vitamin D, and your Air Force and Navy are like milk, all the white you pour into trouble spots for stability, spilling out, spreading out, blanking out, and the tears of those sleeping on cardboard and rags under the overpass salty milk, because the word homeless is like the word milk. I drink it and drink it. It's like drinking sunlight. It builds strong bones and teeth, and the phrase can't hold down a job is like milk to me, and your bullying, your shaming, every way you hurt the spirit is like milk to me, and your worship of the fascist, your support of the dictator is cold, like cold milk, and the student debt and catastrophically failing infrastructure and your love of the lies of the would-be legislator, these are just like milk to me, and your prescription for painkillers, the refills, the new prescriptions, medications to help you shit and help you stop shitting, and the anti-anxiety pills and the antidepressants that stopped working and the new antidepressants that might be working or might not be working, and every pharmaceutical company lobbying doctors to prescribe more painkillers, white, and you're logging and mining and fracking and drilling, and every place ruined forever is now that it's ruined forever and uninhabitable, just like milk to me, and the end of languages, cultures, species, knowledges, ways of living like milk, and your contempt and self-pity and fear are also like milk to me, and all the lives shrunk and deformed by your lies and imaginary needs are like milk to me. I drink and I'm drinking, I choke and I go on, it's endless, this white on white flag unfurling to trip from the edge of nothing into nothing, forever stinking of methane. The wit and wisdom of an ex-boyfriend's grandmother as told to me by said ex. Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? Playing the Cow Palace. What my friend who lives on Elsie Street recalled of the Beatles concert she went to in San Francisco, or rather Daly City, is the sound which completely drowned out the music of girls screaming, and then the smell, after the music was over and the crowds were filing away, of urine, because so many of the ecstatic young women wet themselves in a crazy frenzy of love and safe because totally hopeless desire. On meaning and meaninglessness. That would have been the year I discovered that repetition could lead to estrangement. The year I said the word milk to myself alone at night. Why? Over and over, and heard it askew, oddly, heard it as if it were in a foreign language or just a kind of music. What a weird syllable. Milk, 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 I murmured, trying to make the word come back to sense, but watching it like an escaped pet run ever further away into pure sound the more I called it, as I kept calling it. Why had I ever thought it knew its own name, or thought it had a name, or thought I could name it? White streak up the empty field at dusk, desk and across the street, then over the tracks into that dark, pathless tangle of pine and scrub oak. Milk, 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 milk. The mel extended, the K coming down with a fierce chop, and some other life starting there where I just noticed. I'm always noticing things. The swell of my hip for the first time. I was 9, under the sheet, and thought at once, that is sexual, and that is dangerous. The noise all around me of sex, beginning to be a language I would learn to speak, somewhat haltingly, sex, 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 the beginning of my new life as a somewhat confused refugee in a mostly hostile country, alien there. I still knew my name. I could tell you my father was Mullen, my mother was Don't, and I was born on a dairy farm with my brother Bin, where we all told each other everything sooner or later, as truth was our only harvest, and our rich autumn was called divorce, and everything from that time of my ripening, where my body was the border crossed, was set to the catchy tunes of the cute boys who grew up in the slave port. Oh, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand. I want to milk your milk. And the flip side, I milk you. Yeah, etc. Why, this is the last one, why milk the buy? If you can free the cow, forget. If you can cow the free for milk, why buy the white cow, the buy out, get the you for free? If you can get a milk for free cow, if you can free the milk, if you can milk the free, if you white cow the get it free, pow, the why get it canned. If the free guy can get milk, I get it now. If you can be a coward for free, white with fear, you, but can't be a fat free boy, free to buy, why you try to free yourself from your own milky femininity by selling me out? If I can't market the milk, the canned cow you buy, forget the buy. If you can, if I why buy it can. If this is a bit too rich for me, if you can get it free, why bow down to the marketed milk? Can tits with a price tag, how now, brown dow? If the milk-free cow freak out, why buy the if you can believe she said, if you can believe she said that, if you can forget you, I can free me of that long moment after he hung up the phone and turned to tell me what the old cow had said to him when he told her we might get married, we were living together, I loved him, or so I thought then, now it's okay. That milk can spilled out a long time ago. It's a pale, dry, faintly sour-smelling stain. But if I white cow free the buy I can milk, I felt sick when, because she was like me, but she didn't like me, or want to be like me, say moo instead of boo here, maybe. I spooked her, or free milk made her freaky. I'm grateful now, actually. I can say that. I can say why buy the can and why cow the free for milk when you can free the cow for further fun. If I can forget, if you can go, why have a cow? Wow, anyhow, I kicked over the can and burned the town down a long time ago, and it's more than okay if you don't marry me.